Welcome. I just got back from the gym, so don't mind me. I'm very excited about what I'm going to share today. I've been looking forward to this. As many of you know, I said on my last video how I really want to keep this channel focused on faith and fitness, building off the momentum of what I did recently, which was the 75 Hard Challenge, a mental toughness program, a 75-day program that Andy Frisella created years ago and has been billed as TikTok's toughest challenge. It's gone viral on the internet over the last couple years. It kicked my butt. It was definitely challenging. It had 5 core components, which included eating a structured diet every day, no cheat meals, drinking a gallon of water. That's probably the hardest part for me. Doing 2 45-minute workouts a day, one of them being outside, reading 10 pages of personal development or motivational stuff, no audio books, and taking a progress photo every day. If you missed anything or failed in any of that, you're supposed to start back at the beginning. And so that's because so many people failed the challenge, was why it was also billed as the internet's toughest challenge. What I loved about this program was that it was not just a fitness challenge. It was taking fitness components to the next level and making it a mental toughness program, which included the challenge of sticking with stuff, building the discipline to structure your day because otherwise you failed and you had to start at the beginning again. And that there was mental aspects to the nature of this, not just focusing on your food and diet and your workouts and things like that. I realized as I finished this program that there was aspects of it I loved and things that I think that really work. But knowing my research and understanding about habits and transformation and other things that I've been studying through the years and applied in my life, I also could see ways that this program could be improved on. And what really inspired me was this idea of taking this program to the next level. I don't know Andy Frisella's background, but I'm a God-fearing, Jesus-loving woman. So things that are spiritual, or the spiritual nature of who we are, and conversations about faith are a deep part of my life. And my relationship with the Lord affects my whole life and has for years. I really wanted to look at making a challenge or a program that focused on mind, body, and spirit. That is something I'm kind of billing as a spiritual toughness program. Not that it's the hardest one in the world or that it's necessarily a benchmark, but something that you can use to become more spiritually fit, mentally strong, and build your physical fitness. Before I share about that, I want to touch on the name change for this channel that I've decided to do. It probably matters to no one but me. The name of this channel from the beginning has been Thrival now. I know it's not a real word in the English language, but I love the concept of going from surviving to thriving and from survival to thrival. And it represented to me, the reason I got on camera, the reason I even started a channel to begin with and started doing these videos was to encourage people. And I really wanted to encourage people to go from surviving to thriving. For me, that encompassed, basically 3 aspects of life. It seemed like everybody's got something. You either have something broken or wrong in one of these 3 areas. Very few people do I know that have their life figured out in all 3 areas at the same time. But basically, your health and fitness, relationships, whether they're intimate, or familial, or friends, and then finally, finances. I wanted to do these videos not only to encourage people, but to also share the things that I've learned along the way, how I've gone from surviving to thriving in these areas. None of that has changed. I still want to show up to encourage you, first and foremost. Second, I want to share my stories, my experience to help you go from surviving to thriving in all 3 of those areas. But particularly, we're going to have a little bit of a focus in the sense of faith and fitness and combining this mind, body, spirit piece. And the name that I want to change this channel to is Mountain Warrior Princess. And I say this because it speaks to identity. And one of the most powerful ways to bring transformation in our lives is when our identity changes. Most people try to bring change and transformation from the outside into something. And so you're changing your actions and then your words and your thoughts and your subconscious thoughts and then belief systems at the core. True change has to happen in the core person of who we are in those belief systems to have any radical, long-lasting change. But the most powerful way to bring change, the most rapid way to bring change is when the belief system and that core part of you is changed first. And then it begins to affect those subconscious thoughts and then the conscious thoughts and then the words we speak and then the actions we take. I feel like showing up in this space with a name and an identity that has resonated with me, which I'll share in just a moment, is a really powerful way to demonstrate this. The battle for our identity is where it's at, because you are probably who you are today because of what people have told you and the things that you have believed about yourself. Sadly, for most of us, the things we've been told most of our lives are lies. We've believed what people at school told us, what maybe our parents told us in the heat of terrible moments. In their anger and exasperation, they've spoken things and said things to us that have burned holes into our being that are not who we are or what we're made to do. And that's impacted our identity. And we often believe lies that we've told ourselves from despairing places and lonely places and hurting places. We've spoken things about ourselves that are lies. And so if you want to experience true transformation, you really have to get to the core beliefs of what you believe about yourself in order to root out these lies and plant the truth into that place. For me, one of the ways God did this at an early age was I really believe that that there is meaning in the name that we have, and names are powerful. They're used all through the Bible to speak truths, and most names have really a lot deeper meanings than you see on the surface, and most of us don't even know what the meaning is. And for me, my maiden name, Andrea Sharon Norris, I learned, I think early on I started to learn. It took probably till I was out of high school before I finally realized the last part of it. But I learned at a young age that Andrea meant strong and courageous, or strong and womanly. And I learned also that Sharon is a derivative of Sarah, which is a Hebrew word that means princess. And I learned that Norris meant out of the north, which also has not only a geographic sense and being from northern BC, and I say that because I was raised 1,000 miles north of the border in British Columbia, but being from northern Canada, it wasn't just geographic, but I learned early that in ancient times, in battles, when the kings sat down to negotiate peace, the winning nation sat on the north side of the table. And so Norris, as a meaning of representing north, also represented victory, and just a place of victory, that I was made for victory and not to be a failure in my life. God used these names and the meaning of these names to impart a deep, deep sense of identity to me through the years of what my calling is, what my purpose is, what I'm made for, what my gifts and talents are. And just the other day, my husband, he knows about this strong and courageous princess of the north part, but something was said offhand, and he called me the mountain warrior princess. And there was something about it that just stuck and resonated. I was like, man, I really think I need to use that and run with that. And so, you know what, just for fun, I'm going to use that on this channel, sharing a part of my identity, because I want to help encourage you and challenge you to change and be transformed. The most powerful way I could ever do that is for you to begin to see who you truly are, what your deepest identity is, who God's called you to be, who you've been created for, what your purpose is. And so we'll get into more of that later, but just to throw that out, you can look for that change in the days ahead. Back to what I was saying about this spiritual toughness challenge. I have decided to create something I'm calling the Warrior 40. It'll be 40 days long. 40 is a meaningful number that means a time of testing or a trial period. I think there's power in the number 40 because it's more than 30 days, which is considered a time for habit formation. But it's also really deeply connected to Scripture. There's a lot of places in the Bible where that number 40, there's some really profound, deep stories, even a couple times that Jesus and Moses, if you've heard of who that character is, did 40-day fasts. And so it was really considered a season of testing. I'm calling this the Warrior 40 in part because being fat and lazy, being mentally dumb or slow when you have the faculties to do more, there's nothing in that that is wonderful. Being lazy in our spiritual nature is just as apathetic. And so I think throughout the Bible, there is a lot of premise for us to become self-disciplined and to be physically fit and be ready in season and out of season. The time you need faith is not the time to get faith. The time you need fitness is not the time to get fitness. I shared a story not long ago about a rescue we did last fall when the flooding happened in eastern Tennessee and western North Carolina from Hurricane Helene. My husband and I swam out into flooding waters and helped rescue 2 people in a vehicle that was floating in the river. It was profound. One comes to mind, it says, "Love the Lord your God with all your heart," which is another word for our spirit, your soul or your mind and emotions, and your strength. Recognizing the verse ends, love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. And so we recognize that we're a tripart being. We have 3 aspects to our nature, and maybe we should be working on not just our physical fitness, not just mental toughness, but even building our spiritual muscles. For me, the warrior part also speaks to the fact that growing up in Northern Canada, I was part of the Army Cadet Corps. I was very close to going to West Point Academy in New York and had been pursuing going into the military after high school and in college, but ended up on a different path. I've pursued a lot of things that are very difficult and adventurous and challenging. I can get into that in the next video, why I feel qualified to lead or challenge other people to do a spiritual toughness challenge. But suffice it to say, I have been drawn to mountaintop experiences and extreme things physically, mentally, and spiritually, and accomplished a lot through the years. And so it's something that I just want to continue building in my own life, and I just want to invite you to do it with me. So finally, I'll wait till the next video to maybe break this down, but suffice it to say, this challenge, I wanted to have 5 daily components, or I've picked 5 daily components, and I've picked 2 weekly challenge components. I'm going to throw some gang signs here, depending on which way the video shows up. But so 5 daily challenge components and 2 weekly challenge components. And so I will share those on the next video, along with some of the reasons of why I feel qualified, maybe another Bible verse or 2 for those of you that are interested, of how the Bible speaks about how important fitness is, not just our physical, but the mind, body, spirit connection. So thank you so much for joining me, and I will also be sharing when this is going to be starting and how you can join. So check back. I so appreciate you, and I look forward to doing this with you. I'll see you on the next one.